Imagine knowing exactly what your students are learning and exactly which steps you need to take next.
Join us in Down with the Reading Quiz to craft meaningful and productive formative assessments that move away from gotcha moments of basic recall and toward assessing what your students actually can do.
In this 30-minute free masterclass, we'll share 3 powerful assessment keys that work for any novel at any time of the year.
Head to shop.bravenewteaching.com/masterclass to sign up, and we'll also send you a free workbook to keep track of all your notes.
Once again, that's shop.bravenewteaching.com/masterclass to nail formative assessments forever.
Well, hello and welcome back to Brave New Teaching. Hi, Amanda.
Marie, I'm so excited for this episode.
I know, we get so nerdy. I'm all about it. Friends, are we ready? Are we ready? I want to hear you say we are to talk about the books we read over the past year. Are we? Yes, we are. Oh my gosh, that was overwhelming.
always these episodes I get so excited about. I'm like, do we abandon Brave New Teaching for a Bookstagram podcast and just say, forget it? Teaching is worthless. We're just going to read forever.
I mean, some days, depending on what classroom management's looking like in my classroom, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, there are some days where I'm like, I feel like I could do it. Like I know it's a lot of work, but also like, I could do it. Yeah, I could do it. So
you love what you do. You're never working a day in your life until reading becomes your business. And like, that's, I don't know. That thing that would.
I know. Grass is always greener, blah, blah, blah. I get it, friends. Well, then let's just take a quick little detour from the teaching content, shall we? But not really a full detour, because today's episode comes with a really fun activity that we want you all to be a part of. And then we want you to take it to your classrooms. I'm guessing this is going to be something that happens in the new year, right? Like this is going to be something that happens once you're back from break, or maybe if you're like me, you've got a whole new batch of kids at some point in January. And this is something that you can take with you as a little community builder, because that's how we're using it here at Brave New Teaching. Okay, drum roll, please. Except that you already know what I'm going to say because you read the title of this podcast episode. We are going to be hosting the Brave New Teaching Book Awards.
Yay, BNT Book Awards.
Yes, end of the year book awards. Like, what were our favorite books? What were maybe even our least favorite books, right? Maybe we can have like a Razzies kind of a section here. But that is something that's going to be taking place over on Instagram. We are just going to kind of talk through some of our own nominees for these categories in various places. But you're going to have to like join us on Instagram to really get the full effect of the book awards.
So, okay, a couple things. Your emails, right? We have emailed you a Google form. This is where you can participate and vote, see all of the categories. So make sure that you're checking your email, make sure that you've got that, fill it out, send it back to us. And for extra funsies, if you head to bravenewteaching.com/book awards, we will send you all of our materials so that you can do this with your own class. Like Marie said, yes. We want to give you all of this to recreate whenever it works for you with your kids.
How stinking fun, right? I'm pumped. And then we're going to have like full-blown awards on social media that you could also take those templates and like, rinse and repeat, copy and have them go in your own classroom. Yes, we're all about building community in an organic way. And like, this is something that's just silly enough for your students who like don't consider themselves readers. Okay, fine. Then like article of the year, like,
yes.
Like poem of the year, whatever it is that everybody can be part of. You can have like fun, different types of categories, but like take the template and use it.
Yes, take the template, use it. We've already designed it. We did all the legwork. We already thought through all the things that you don't have to think through, and you can just plug and play.
And look amazing in the process. All right, friends,
I'm so creative.
You're going to look so cool. Like, oh, wow. Oh, just for us? You came up with this just for us? And then you're going to lie through your teeth to your students. You're going to say, I did. I really did. This is how much I care.
This is how much I care. And if you listened to our episode where we talked all about final exams, I feel like this is one, when Marie was talking about having that like extra long period, this is the kind of thing that would be so fun for, okay, we did a seminar, we did a little discussion, and now we're going to have our awards. Like it's a great way to balance that time period. If you need it, it's a great thing to do coming back from a break. If you need you need to plan something before you go so that you're not thinking about all the things you haven't planned, like all of the things.
It's a good closer. It's a good opener. And speaking of openers, we need to, I'm excited to talk about the books. So let's do it. But first, cue the music.
You're listening to Brave New Teaching, and we are so much more than a podcast.
We give teachers the inspiration, support, and tools to challenge the status quo.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a former English teacher from Illinois.
And I'm Marie, and I'm a teacher from Southern California.
Join us at bravenewteaching.com to find out more about our courses, festivals, and get every episode's show notes.
We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the show. All right, Amanda, if you had to sum up your reading this year in one thematic word, surprising or unsurprising to us, your audience, what would that be?
Joy.
Oh, which is actually quite surprising because Amanda likes to read about doom, gloom, and other terrible things. Her two reading lanes generally fall into really sad memoirs and dystopia. But like dystopia, like, well, okay, 3, and classics. But not classics. Like, we're not talking about like Pride and Prejudice. We're talking about like Picture Dorian Gray. Like, we're
much darker.
Frankenstein. Like, let's get into, yeah.
I love Frankenstein. I really need to write a
Frankenstein.
I know you do. I need to get on that. Okay.
God, you're weird. I love you, you weirdo.
I am so weird. I am like looking at my Goodreads. So this is the first year that I've ever done the Goodreads reading challenge. This is the first year that I've ever been reading on purpose and consuming books at a rate that I previously thought was stupid. And I am filled with joy. I get it. I'm in it. And I am filled with joy. The characters and the stories I read are
not.
Very much not. But I am filled with joy. What about you?
Okay. I mean, magic.
Yeah, she is.
That's literally all I read. Like when I'm going to read for escapism, like for true escapism, with a few exceptions to the rule, this is not surprising, friends. I'm going to go straight up fantasy. I'm going to go straight up magic. My month of October was probably the busiest month I had. I was putting on September and October. I was putting on 2 plays at once at my school. My own children were starting to get into rehearsals for things that they are taking part in because my kids are theater dorks just like their mom. You know, September and October, like school's in full gear and you're like really rocking and rolling. Yeah. It's not like we let up a whole ton here around Brave New Teaching. And yet those 2 months, I read more than I did in the whole previous year.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, I just went for it. And it was all because I got really into cozy, witchy books.
That's awesome.
When I say it out loud, I'm like, I have a master's degree. And I don't think it's dumb at all. It's just funny because it's just things that I never really allowed myself to like out loud. And to like get because it was like, that's not smart enough. Yes, it is. It's so fun. I love it.
Well, and I, as I've publicly declared, I get it. I'm not all the way. I'm not all the way there, but I'm getting
Stop backpedaling. Stop you.
I'm getting
Stop it right now.
Fourth Wing was definitely my gateway drug this year into what you've been begging me to try. And
bro, it's so good.
Unapologetically in, and currently having the true crisis of reading Iron Flame. And like, I'm like back and forth between, I want to binge the whole thing and finish it.
I know, but then you have to wait again. I know. Welcome. Yeah. Well, and I'm going to send you my thoughts and prayers because it really is a struggle. Like,
it really is.
Yeah. Welcome to hell.
So, okay, let's start this episode with like, we got to backtrack because I don't know if everybody has listened to all of our reading update videos. So like
videos.
This is our episode because I'm looking at this list of awesome things, and I don't want to double dip into things we've already talked about, but I do think we need a place where we are talking about the whole year as well.
Yeah,
so maybe let's just like sprinkle like reminders, like these were amazing. We're not going to talk about it a lot right now, but we already have.
Okay.
What were some of yours like from the year that we've already talked about that are still on your mind as like, yeah, this really was amazing?
Oh, so definitely going back to our friend, I'm going to just call her our friend, Ruta Sepetys. Like,
I mean, I have a lot of Ruta on my list.
I do too. But I talked about this half of the summer, I feel like. I Must Betray You. I talked about it quite a bit. It was one of our books that we read for Camp B&T over the summer. And I read it in a day on buses and an airplane when I went with my then fourth graders class to Sacramento. We went from San Diego all the way up to Sacramento, flew up, drove around. They got to pan for gold, do all of these things. And honestly, I was just a warm body to be there to supervise. And thank goodness, because all I wanted to do was read this book. And I read the whole book up and down. Like, it was just, and then cried and had to like hide that I was crying because I didn't want my son to be embarrassed that his mom was being a weirdo and like crying on the airplane.
Embarrassing, yeah.
Yeah. Human emotion, so embarrassing. I just cannot say enough things about it. And then not just because I liked it so much, but because my students like it so much. Like, yeah, I can't stop.
So I also read I Must Betray You, and I loved it. So I had already on my 22 list done Salt of the Sea and Between Shades of Grey.
Yes.
This year I added I Must Betray You, and then I also read The Fountains of Silence, which may be my top Sepetys.
That is the one that I still need to read. So that's going to go on my 24 TBR, which is for a podcast for another day. But
Fountains of Silence was delightful. I loved it.
Okay, so sidebar, I was looking at her Instagram, Ruta Sepetys' Instagram, and she was like in a helicopter over was she in Hawaii?
She's in the Pacific. I don't know what island she's on, but yeah, I think so.
I was like,
research, you know.
Yes, it's just so exciting. And I don't even care. She could go wherever. She's like in a helicopter doing research. Like, how stinking cool is this woman? She's so cool.
She's like, as we've all heard in that episode, she's so cool. She's so down to earth. She cares about, like, she really is doing this for our people, our young people.
Right.
And like, I don't know. Okay. So enough about Ruta. We love you, Ruta.
We really do.
We really do. Okay. Another not honorable mention, but another like, remember this in our dystopia series, Marie and I both kind of like, we're like, guys, don't forget about the Grace Year. I reread Grace Year this year, and I've gotten a lot of messages from people that were like, oh yeah. Like, I don't know what it is about when I first read it. And then when I reread it, that it hit different. But Grace Year needs to come back, bubble back up to like the whole class novel conversation because it's there.
I agree.
I know that's like a school book, but that was not just a school book for me. That was a personal.
It's a good one, dude. Yeah, it's really good.
The second time I read it for me, I think maybe that was why.
Yeah, probably. Okay,
so we talked about that one. Check. We also talked about, and I made a prediction, All My Rage, Saba Tahir. I predicted that All My Rage is going to be the next kind of, I think this text is going to be read the way that we read All American Boys, Jason Reynolds. Like it's going to be coming back into that conversation. I know it. I loved All My Rage. So good.
I'm trying to remember. What else did I talk about?
You talked about some of your plays, which were you had to do, but they were still like, I know Addams Family went so well.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. That play is so much fun. It is a absolute delight. And then I have really incredibly like stupid talented kids. Like where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I have a lot to teach you. I mean, I do just because like they're new to the world, right? Like they're, kids, but it was so delightfully fun. Lots of work, lots of fun.
And I'd say Furia too. You read Furia?
I did not get to finish because school started.
But we talked about like when we talked about Camille.
Yes. I was like, oh.
Well, no, but I don't know that you did because I interviewed her when you were like deep in it with school stuff.
Right.
And Furia for me was like, wow. And I know a lot of you guys have a wow moment with that too, because I don't know, the YA sports genre can kind of be a little meh for me,
A little
but
dodgy. Yes.
Furio was amazing. That was another great. That was a Camp BNT book that kind of blew me away. I mean, all of the Camp BNT books blew us away. So those are all up there.
Those are the ones that we
Felice
just
and the
have
Wailing
been talking
Woman.
about. Yeah.
Felice and the Wailing Woman was such a surprise for a middle grade book. So those are all those are totally in the running for a lot of these awards.
Absolutely. I'm even trying to go back in time. I mean, there are a lot of the fantasy books that I absolutely can't handle because I love it so much. I have a couple that I tried to read.
Yeah, which were those?
I have tried so many times to read Taylor Jenkins Reid.
TJR.
Yeah, I've tried, Amanda. I've now tried 3 separate times to read Daisy Jones and the Six.
I love Daisy Jones.
Hot take, I can't do it.
Hot take, you should probably be listening to it, honestly.
Hot take, I don't think I'm going to try again.
Okay.
Hot take, I also tried to read another of her books, Malibu Rising, and hot take, I couldn't do it.
No, I didn't even try.
So I guess cold take, I can't do it.
That's fair.
Yeah, thanks.
The thing about Daisy Jones is it reads like a podcast, so it was really nice to listen to.
Okay.
I really liked it. And then I loved Evelyn Hugo, but I also listened to that too. I mean, I listened to everything.
Oh gosh, that's the other one. Can't do it.
Okay.
It must just be that I don't like the style. I don't know. I just every time I'm like, oh, why do I feel like I'm trying so hard?
Well, and I don't know if we talked about it here either, but that's how I kind of am. Emily Henry is giving me the same kind of problems. I'm I loved Book Lovers. That was on my, that was a big step. I don't really go into that genre either.
Right.
But then everything since I've been whoa, Happy Place to me was not a happy place. I abandoned it. I don't even have it on my books for the year because I didn't finish it. I was so bored.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was well,
Book Lovers. So I'm trying to give things a chance, but then I'm I gave you a chance. Why are you disappointing me?
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Okay, let's go into more books we haven't really talked about this year.
Absolutely. Oh, and I'm excited. Let's talk about magic. Let's go. I have a book that I want to nominate for the best audiobook of the year.
Holy smokes. Okay, wow. Coming in hot.
I am. I have told you to listen to this book. I have suggested this book and sent out the link to basically everybody I work with. It is the most cozy, comforting, sweet, laugh out loud, funny at times. And the narrator, the audiobook narrator's voice is just everything. It's everything I need in my life. I actually talked about it on the podcast before. I'm really good at drawing things out. It is called, I've talked about it before. It's called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I know. You're oh.
No. I recommended it to my mom. My mom read it. And I think I went for it on Libby, and I don't know what happened to it.
You got to listen to it, though.
Okay, I'm on my phone right now. Okay.
I'm telling you. I started Audible because we had been talking about it and you had been talking about it so much. And this was my first full read because the beauty of Audible is if you hate something, you can return it. Yes. And so there were a couple of things that I started going, oh, this will be good. And then I was no, it's not. And I couldn't even tell you what those were because I didn't make it past 30 minutes. But this book, the narrator's voice is just perfection. And you just feel good and warm and fuzzy.
Wow.
Yes. But it's not blowing smoke up your behind kind of a book. Okay. It's not overly sweet. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Oh, okay. Because your face told a different story.
It's so descriptive. I'm just taking it all in.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm very thorough. Yeah. But The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana and narrated by Samara McLaren. Oh my gosh. I love that narrator.
Okay. I'm replacing my hold. My hold is placed.
Okay. You're welcome.
About a 6-week wait. Maybe that's why. Maybe it came and I wasn't ready, or maybe I don't know. 6-week wait.
Okay. So there you go.
Okay. There we go. So, all right. This is good. So we're starting with some magic. So I talked a little bit, I think, on one episode, maybe not. Amber McBride has written a lot of amazing stuff. This year I read We Are All So Good at Smiling. I believe I sent you a copy of it, Marie.
I believe you did as well. And I do believe it's on the bookshelf in my room and on my 2024 TBR.
Yeah. So this one it's like a very versy, magical realism, mental health. I mean, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous read. But for me, it wasn't so far into the fantasy that I felt like, oh, wait, too far from the real world.
What's happening? Yeah.
There's a lot of times where you're like, you just don't really know where you are. And I actually love that feeling of being a little disconnected. So that was very cool. It's something that I think kids need. I could picture exactly the kids I would have handed it to had I been in the classroom. That one, I think if we're going to talk about magic, also belongs in that conversation. I don't remember the audiobook like changing my life, but the story was definitely absolutely stunning. So let's keep that in there.
Okay. Sure. I like it.
Can we move from magic to dystopia sci-fi?
Can I talk about magic first?
Oh, do you still have more? Of course you have more magic. Yes.
Of course I have more magic. Okay. So it's called the Glen Graves. Glen. It's the X-Hex and the Kiss Curse, which are 2 books by Aaron Sterling. And one of them I got in Book of the Month, honestly, 2 years ago. I've talked about this on the podcast too, the X-Hex. And then the Kiss Curse is the sequel. And they're just cute and they're fun and they're sassy. And I absolutely love them. And it's about witches. And then I have a couple others, which you know what? I'll save those ones for the book awards. Okay. For nominees and whatnot. I was really into the magic, witchy of it all. And there you go. Yeah.
I'm not mad.
I'm glad. I appreciate your sacrifice. Thank you.
I did sit here and endure that. So
yeah. You really did. Yeah.
No, but I also I have them on my TBR stacks now. So, I mean, it's getting thick, but let's just switch a little bit into dystopia sci-fi. I have to make a plug for some of the unusual things that I read that I ended up liking. So one of them was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir.
Oh yeah, you did like that a lot.
So I will make it quick then if I've talked about it before, but I want to plug it because I think it's very easy to miss because I was ready to dismiss it. This was a book club pick for me in, oh my gosh, I want to say April, May. It's completely and totally sci-fi. I mean, the world is ending and we have to send this science teacher / professor into outer space to solve this, find this whatever strain of a something. And we've got aliens. There are, planets, rocket ships, all kinds of science talk, everything. I'd be like, absolutely no. It was one of the most heartwarming, delightful, beautiful human experience stories to date. I loved Project Hail Mary. So I'm making a plug for that. Dystopia, moving, that was only sci-fi. Dystopia for me, Our Missing Hearts, unbelievable. Loved Our Missing Hearts. Not everyone did though.
Right.
There's some controversy there.
Yeah.
I talked about We Set the Dark on Fire. That's another high five. And since then, other than the Grace Year, the last one I would say is sort of, I don't know really where to put it, but I just finished Station 11. Do you know anything about Station 11?
Do I?
By Emily St. John Mandel. This is if you.
I don't think I do.
Okay, so this is circulating through the AP Lit circle quite a bit.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are teaching this at the AP Lit level. I think it's doable at other levels too, but this is a pandemic story. It's not a pandemic story. A pandemic happens, and the story is about the majority of the population is decimated by this pandemic, and it's kind of about the world after, what happens. It's not so much the devastation of the pandemic. It happens, and then we move on. What happened 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years later. And it's a really beautiful story. I think the structure probably was my favorite part and maybe a big reason why it works well for school, because it's hard to find stories with really interesting structure that are teachable. And I think that especially
teachable, accessible, right. It is quite a delicate balance to strike. Yeah.
It's hard for kids. And sometimes when structure gets interesting, it immediately gets too hard.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Mm-hmm.
one's really cool with the ways that the timeline plays around. The characters like are interconnected, then disconnected, then they come back together again. It takes place in this future that we can all imagine, especially being like, and this was written before the pandemic that we're thinking of.
Right.
So it's really beautiful. I loved Station 11. It was a 5-star read for me. So I've got Station 11 up there and I have seen it around and hadn't touched
Okay.
it. And then I went for it. So that was
That's
a big
good.
thumbs up.
That's
and I'm looking
good.
through, I don't think any other in that genre. I think that was surprisingly
That's
all
okay.
I read.
Well, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what our listeners bring to the table. I'm excited to see where these book awards take us because we want you all, like, this is not pre-done. We want you to contribute and like come along on this journey. So this is your formal invitation to go get on our email list if you're not already there, or head to the show notes and you can, get the form, get yourself on the email list so that you can get the form to participate, and along with that, bring it into your classroom. I'm pumped to see what we all come up with, but I'm also excited to see what comes out of your classrooms and like what sorts of spins we see put on this, like for classroom. Like I could see a whole thing with it being like TED Talks. Like what if it's like TED Talk awards, right? It doesn't have to be books necessarily. It could just be materials, but BNT Book Awards, man. Let's do it. bravenewteaching.com/book awards. Join the party.
Do you have one or two more like absolute like must mentions before we go?
I mean, it's another magic witch book. Yeah.
Okay, mention it.
Okay. Author Brianne Randall wrote a book entitled The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic.
Oh.
Which was just this like really sweet. Yes, it was a love story. Yes, it is a love story, but it was also about like family and like family, I guess family trauma, but like really just about family pasts and family stories. It honestly reminded me a lot of family lore, just in the structure of like looking back at generations and looking back at the things that we do for the people we love, and like sacrifice. And I don't know, just as a mom, it made me look at like, there are things that we do that we never talk about and we just do them. To have a book about, a family of magic witches in like Virginia or something. Like, I mean, they're all like small town America. Just that I could connect with that in that way. I was like, okay, that is a well-written story, right? Like if it's total fantastical, like magical, but then also it's real. So
when we talk about our TBR list in an upcoming episode, I have something to say about witches.
Okay. I'm all in.
We're going to be wandering. I mean, it's going to be a wander to get there, but I'm excited to talk about next year's reading.
Okay. Yay. Okay. Well, stay tuned, everybody.
Wait. There's one more.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry because I forgot about this one and sorry. Okay. I have to give a shout out to Elizabeth Rowe, my good friend. I feel like we have a very similar reading life. She was the one who had mentioned this one. And I was like, yes, that was like deep down on a TBR list somewhere. Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. It was beautiful. It's set in like very, 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 very old China, like foot binding China, like long time ago. And it is about just like as another like generations of women story.
Okay.
So beautiful. And I don't know how I ever got to tell her, but like Elizabeth, I loved it. It was so gorgeous and hearts, hugs and kisses. Loved it.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to stop the whole production for that.
That's okay. Well, that's okay.
Lady Tan was so good. So good.
That's kind of the beauty and like why we keep making these episodes, because a lot of you are like, that just created my TBR. Thank you. So like that's why we do it. And I'm excited to see what comes out of the awards and what can also get added to our TBRs further down the line.
Yeah. So keep a close eye on the socials. That's where it's all coming through.
Yeah. All right, friends. I hope that the winter season is treating you well and that you are having a wonderful day wherever you are, if you're at school, if you're at home. Thank you for joining us today. We are, again, pumped to see what you all nominate and then vote for in our BNT Book Awards, bravenewteaching.com/book awards to participate. Yes, by the way, Amanda, you missed that entire section while I watched you braid your hair while we were recording this podcast.
I missed this whole piece.
It's like she's never done it before. It was like watching my 7-year-old braid her hair.
Well, I wasn't looking at the screen. I was looking at my book list. So
no, you were. I know. And there's another one, by the way, down below. Yep. I love you so much.
God.
I watched her miss those pieces, and it was one of those things where I was like, is she doing that on purpose? Or am I just going to let it happen? But then I also didn't want to interrupt you because you were like on a roll. You were like talking while you were braiding. So I was like, we're just going to let this go.
It feels kind of crazy.
Yeah. Glad that we came to this realization on air. Friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for joining us. And if you stop listening to the podcast after this one, we understand. Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks again for listening to Brave New Teaching.
We'd love to keep the conversation going over on Instagram.
And while you're there, check out the links in our bio for the most up-to-date events going on in the Brave New Teaching community.
Thanks for being here and have a great week at school.